Hey everybody, and welcome back. This will be part one of the build, so super excited. Got kind of a lot of the modifications and dyeing and painting and carbon fiber stuff, kind of got that out of the way so I can just focus on the build. So yeah, really excited. Hope you guys enjoy this one. I know I will, so buckle up and we're gonna get started. Alright, so before I start, I wanted to go over some of these pieces that I got done and out of the way. So here's that carbon fiber 3D printed G11 part that I did. I think it turned out pretty good for, you know, my first carbon fiber job. Try to get a little better angle here. So yeah, everything went good. I'll pop some pictures up here or there, somewhere, probably over here. But basically, use this carbon fiber cloth right here. And first I applied some, I used some tacky glue. And I first went over, you know, the top of the part with the tacky glue. I put a kind of like a light coat because it was kind of porous, the 3D print. It's kind of porous, so I wanted, you know, to do a couple layers so the glue would sink into the porous part. Then I did another top coat. So I put a light coat over it first, let that kind of semi-dry a little bit, enough to where I can go and do another coat to fill in all those pores, and then do another little coat to kind of overcoat that so the carbon fiber would have something to lay on. And then you'll see, I'll throw the picture up here, kind of press the carbon fiber over it and got a roller and rolled it and pressed it down super good. Got one of the weights and put a weight on it just so it would get compressed. The more you can compress it, the better and stronger it will be. So I let that dry for a good little bit over 24 hours. And then I did quite a few top coats. So I got that same tacky glue, and I probably did about 3 or 4 coats over the carbon fiber. The first coat, you'll notice it kind of just, it sinks in and the carbon fiber absorbs it. As I pressed it down in the beginning, a lot of the glue kind of bled through the carbon fiber, which is good. That's what you want. So yeah, I did quite a few coats of that glue over the top of it. Let that dry, and then after I did that, I pretty much got a super fine X-Acto knife and cut all along the edges of the part here. And then I ended up doing a couple more coats of that glue around the side so it can kind of adhere really good. And then I went over that with a can of clear enamel gloss or glaze to kind of give the carbon fiber, you know, that gloss or glaze look. And then went back and reamed out all the holes that I need. So I'm super happy with it. I think it turned out really good. And it's not perfect, but I think it's still gonna look a lot better, and it's definitely gonna be a lot stronger. So still super flexible, but adds a nice layer of carbon fiber just to give it as much reinforcement as I can. So that turned out really good. I was a little intimidated with dyeing the wheels, but holy smokes, they turned out way better than I thought. This is the front one, and this is the back one. So I'll throw up a little kind of quick, like maybe time-lapse video up here. But basically, yeah, I boiled them, applied a little bit of dish soap, got the water to around like 200 degrees. It says 200 degrees or more, so I had a little thermometer, so I made sure it was at least 200 degrees. Once that was boiling, I added the dye. Really didn't measure it, just poured in, I think, maybe 3/4 of a bottle. Let that heat up for a little bit, and then, yeah, pop these tires in. And you just want to keep them moving so they don't, you know, settle to the bottom and melt or warp. But if I had to guess, I probably had them in there for probably a good 8 to 10 minutes. You know, maybe a little bit longer, but the longer you leave them in there, you know, the darker the color will be. So that's about the color that I wanted, and I was just blown away. It was really cool to see the plastic kind of transform and suck up the dye. But yeah, I think this will give it a super sinister look, and it'll match with the decals and kind of the theme I'm going for. So super excited about that. And then we'll go outside, just because I have those pieces drying, but also, you know, throw up a couple photos here. When it comes to the aluminum, you have to use, you know, some special primer for that. So when I go outside to show you those pieces, I'll show you the primer that I use. But essentially what I did was sand them, clean them off really good first, sanded them, cleaned them, and I think I used like a super fine, like 200 grit sandpaper. You don't need anything too coarse, just super fine. Sanded them down, washed them off with just, you know, detergent, cleaned them, and then applied 3 coats of that primer. So we'll head outside right now, I'll show you that, and then waiting for those pieces to dry so they're all ready to go. So we'll be right back. All right, so here we are. So here's that primer I was telling you guys about. It's the aluminum primer. I just use the Rust-Oleum. It's pretty good stuff. But yeah, this is, you got to use a special primer for aluminum, because if not, it won't adhere very well. And then, you know, you'll get it peeling and cracking and none of that good stuff. It's not very expensive at all. This was under 10 bucks, but yeah, it's this aluminum primer. So I sprayed, you know, it asked for like 2 light coats and then 1 to 2 heavy coats. So I just did 2 light coats, a medium coat, and then a heavy coat. Let that dry, and you'll notice this stuff is pretty tacky. So use some gloves and, you know, a respirator or whatever, because this stuff kind of stinks too. But yeah, so that's a special primer. And then I went over with this metallic gold. It's also designed for metal, but you know, I try to keep all the same brand so that way it adheres and there's no compatibility issues. But yeah, that's the gold color that I ended up using. And then there are the pieces there that are drying. So I did, again, 2 light coats, and then a heavy coat. Of the pieces there. So I'm gonna allow these to dry, at least for 24 hours. So that way they get a good dry time as they're drying out here, then they should be ready to go tomorrow. So yeah, like I was saying, wanted to get that stuff out of the way so I can just focus on the build. I imagine, like I said, this one will take me some time, but I want to have kind of these pieces ready to go. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Any questions, jot them down in the comments below, and we'll get back to the build video. All right, so starting off with the gearbox, or part of the gearbox housing right here, and getting that motor plate, and then eventually the motor on. So we're going to start with those processes, and I'll keep you guys updated on the way. All right, finish up with this. Pretty easy. You got the motor on, pinion, already got that greased up and ready to go. I went back, I didn't do it on camera, but I would recommend between here. So basically on this metal plate, before you screw it or attach it to this aluminum plate, I would just put some grease around there, because it does have, you know, you saw that gasket, little cardboard gasket between the motor and the metal plate. but there wasn't anything between this metal plate and that aluminum plate. And just like anything with metal, I can see that there was some small little itty bitty gaps. So I went back and I filled that with grease, so that'll just prevent any dust or dirt getting in there. But got that all set up. But check these little things out. These are probably some of the smallest little gears that I have seen. Tiny little bevel gears. There's 4 of those. And then I believe those are steel. And then here's these brass little 14 teeth little gears that go inside that assembly. So super crazy, tiny small. One little thing I noticed is there actually is some metal bushings. This kit's funny with their bearings. So the kit actually does include one ball bearing 850 that you need, but it does come with 2 other brass bushings, but then it does 850 brass bushings, but then it does come with 1 850 metal bearing. So it's like, why didn't they just include 2 more? So yeah, I actually have some in my stash, so I'll be swapping those 2 brass bushings with 850 metal bushings. But yeah, this kit is really funny when it comes to bearings. Usually I don't have an issue running those brass bushings, or they call them, you know, oil bath bushings or whatever. Actually, I generally don't have a problem with those. I ran them in, I think one of them in the lunchbox, and then there was only 1 or maybe 2 in the squash van. I generally always replace the 1150 bearings. But yeah, with this kit, since I spent so much money and time on trying to find 100% bearings, I might as well just do a full bearing kit on it. So yeah, we're gonna get started on the bevel gears and the transmission and gearbox, among one of my favorite things to do. So take my time, get that knocked out, and I'll keep you guys updated. Alright, got everything all done. Got all the gears in there and the bearings. I didn't pay attention, so one little tricky part, those little bevel gears that I showed you, they actually go a special way. So 2 of them go that way and 2 of them go that way, and I didn't pay attention to that, so I just had to take them out and flip them over. So I got that in okay. and got everything else assembled. So we're gonna get the gear cover on and then move on to the next step. All right, little update. So pretty exciting, moving on to the ball dip. So after, kind of like I mentioned, this is gonna be my first ball dip. So after doing a little bit of homework, basically I'm gonna use this bag, and you wanna make sure that all these parts are clean because they're gonna have some, like, you know, oil and residue from manufacturing. So I'm just gonna use rubbing alcohol, and I'm literally gonna pour it right in this bag and let those sit for a couple minutes, and then wipe them off to make sure they're clean. Same thing with these pieces right here. You want to make sure that those are clean and there's no oil or residue on them other than the ball dip grease. So that way, you know, the ball dip works correctly. So again, same thing, I'm going to use that bag, pour some rubbing alcohol in there and make sure those are all clean and dried. And then same thing with the pressure washer, or pressure washers, you want to call them that. I think they call them just washers, but they're like beveled and springy to create some pressure. So yeah, I'm gonna get all those clean and then dried off, and then we'll start the assembly of the ball dip. Super exciting. Alright, got the ball dip all done. Wasn't as hard as I thought it was. You just had to read the directions carefully, and I mean, this is really the only thing I have it to compare it to, so it feels right to me when I hold both of these and this piece right here. I can't move that, so I know that's what it's supposed to do. And as I was tightening it, this was moving in the opposite direction. So from what I read and the videos I watched, seems like I did it right. So yeah, I'm gonna keep on keeping on and get this assembled, and then I believe we're just gonna finish up with the rest of the gears in the gearbox. So we'll keep you updated. All right, and here we are. So got everything all done. Got the gearbox, sway bar, infamous G11 part, obviously the motor and all that good stuff. So yeah, trucking along. Surprised on the weight. Everything crazy. It adds up really, really quick, even for just being plastic and, you know, one little metal motor. Everything adds up super quick, but it actually feels pretty well balanced, even though nothing is in the front. Most of the weight from the motor right here kind of offsets the rear, so it actually feels pretty well balanced. So yeah, I got everything buttoned up as far as that goes. So we're gonna move on to pretty much finishing up the rear. So we've got the rear shock tower and rear trailing arms and all that good stuff. So super excited to keep trucking on this one. So I'll continue and we'll keep you updated. All right, so I just wanted to show you these real quick. These rear trailing arms. These things are huge. Like, one thing I can say about this kit is obviously it's not, you know, the highest end that Tamiya offers, but I mean, it's up there, but it's just the sheer volume of parts. Like, this is parts bag B, and just all the little parts, like, it's completely different than a lot of the other Tamiya kits that I've built, just in the sheer volume of parts and all the individual bags. So I don't know if it's just, I mean, the entire day all I was thinking of, I mean, being at work, was one of two things: coming home to finish working on this model and then reading a book. But yeah, I don't know what it is about this kit, but just the sheer, like I said, amount of parts and how intricate. And there's a lot of, like, you know, these little ball connectors that you have to snap into those arms. Just super awesome. So wanted to share that with you guys, but I'm gonna get this knocked out and get them mounted up, and then I'll show you guys when everything's done. All right, got everything finished up. That was actually a lot of fun. Even though you had to, you know, press the balls in there and, you know, kind of line up, you know, the screws and everything, it was still a lot of fun. So super cool, super old school rear trailing arms like that, but things are massive, and this kit is already a lot of fun. So I think that's gonna wrap it up for part one. A lot going on with this buggy. Kind of, like I said, a lot of firsts, a lot of upgrades, some modifications here and there. So that is gonna wrap her up. But let me know what you guys think. I'm super happy with that carbon fiber rear G11 part. Adds a nice little, you know, cushion when you screw everything in and kind of help absorb the impacts. But yeah, it also added a really, really nice finish. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Let me know what you guys think so far down below. Already I am crazy excited to continue working on this thing and getting it done and seeing her all finished and complete. So thanks again everybody for tuning in. Let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you guys on the next one.